It's now been a week since police were called out to a burning car in Lexington, and just a couple of days ago, friends and family got news it was Trevor Dilger. Tonight, his friends gather at Triangle Park to remember him.
E pluribus unum. Out of many, we are one.
A solemn tribute to mark one of America's saddest days, how people remembered the victims of the 9/11 terror attacks. And Kentuckians vow to never forget.
We have 2,977 flags out here.
We'll take you to UK's campus, where a group of ROTC students are remembering each person killed on 9/11.
This is WKYT News at 11.
It feels a lot like fall outside. Thanks for staying up with WKYT. I'm Kristen Kennedy. We are tracking cooler temperatures moving in. WKYT meteorologist Jim Caldwell starts us off with the no-wait weather forecast.
We're just better than a week away from actually getting to true fall around here, and today certainly felt a whole lot like it. Temperatures were around average, but we had that nice dry air mass in place, so it made it feel a whole lot better. Out there tonight, we're already down to 63 degrees. We progress a few more hours, we're into the 50s, and we could very well end up in the low and mid 50s in many locations out there as we head through the overnight. Right now, area-wide, you're going to find some folks already in the 50s, like Danville, Somerset, both at 59 degrees. How about Frankfort, Mount Sterling coming in at 61? So the cooler stuff settling in for us right now. And look at the Defender Radar Network. We'll show you that we're also all calm around here, and I think we are. Probably at least until Wednesday, and that's when we have a smaller chance of some showers and thunderstorms trying to get together and roll through the area. Here's a preview of what the sky should look like by tomorrow and some of the headlines that we're also tracking. Our pleasant weather continues into Monday, into Tuesday, but we do heat up a little bit. We've got a few dry ones left, and then it's action-packed late this week with more rounds of showers and thunderstorms and more heat and humidity building into the area. I'll track all of it coming up in just a few minutes.
1 week after police found his body in the back of a burned car, friends of Trevor Dilger are honoring him. Tonight, dozens attended a vigil for Dilger in Lexington. Police found the 24-year-old's body on the road just off Old Frankfort Pike last Sunday night. WKYT's Caitlin Sentner talked to his friends in our top story at 11.
It's typically a nice place for a walk in the park. It was anything but that Sunday night for a group of friends.
I mean, he's my brother. He will always be my brother.
Just this weekend, they heard what they didn't want to be true, that a burning car found 1 week ago had their friend Trevor Dilger inside.
Everybody just felt there was a sense of hope that it wasn't going to be him, that he was just going to, comment on something on Facebook like, y'all are crazy. I'm here. This is who he was.
Sunday, friends lit candles and stood together to remember their buddy. It was an emotional night, but they couldn't help but crack a smile talking about the guy they knew as Dilly.
Since middle school, I've known we were always good buddies, and then I joined the military about 4 years before he did, and then he kept talking to me about it and asked me about it, and I finally convinced him to do it. And he loved it when he was in. He absolutely loved the military.
The idea for tonight's vigil started out on a Facebook post. It got a ton of shares, and friends tell us they're so excited to see this many people come out to support their friends.
Everybody here, played an influence in Trevor's life, whether it was outside of school or, in school.
This to me is everything. This is what I think that we need more of. People coming together and speaking to one another and just being there for one another.
Friends say there's not much they can do going forward. They're just holding on to the good times.
I love you, Dilly, and I'll see him another time one day.
In Lexington, Caitlin Sentner, WKYT.
The coroner still hasn't released Dilger's cause of death. Georgetown police are investigating a chase that ended with a crash tonight. Police say a man fired 4 to 5 shots near the Colony subdivision. When they pulled up, they say the man took off and hit 2 cars. Officers lost him at the intersection of US 25 and Cherry Blossom Way. He later crashed on Delaplane and Anderson roads. We're told the car caught fire. State police are investigating a robbery tonight at a Madison County gas station. Troopers say an armed man walked into the BP on Simpson Lane around 7:30. They say he demanded the clerk open the cash register. He did get away with some money. State police released this surveillance photo to us. Troopers say he was wearing a bandana over his face, a blue long-sleeved shirt, khaki pants, and a hat labeled American Sniper. New tonight, investigators in western Kentucky are looking for a second inmate who walked away from work release. The Barron County jailer says Amber Franks walked away from her work release crew Tuesday. Friday, state police say Daryl Taylor walked away from work detail in Bowling Green. The Warren County jailer says walk-offs are rare. Other inmates on work release there say walking away is a bad idea.
You really don't want to have to look over your shoulder every day, you know what I mean? So for me, it just wouldn't be something I'd want to do. I'm ready to get back out into society and be able to take care of my kids and not have to worry about coming back.
Police in South Carolina found Franks and her boyfriend last week. Taylor is still on the run. He was last seen at Basil Griffin Park in Bowling Green Friday. A 9/11 tribute is lighting up New York tonight. The tribute of lights consists of 88 beams forming the shape of the Twin Towers. Earlier in the day, thousands attended a memorial service at Ground Zero, where family of the victims read each name aloud. There was also a memorial service at the Flight 93 National Memorial in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and at the Pentagon. President Obama addressed the crowd there, urging Americans to stick together.
E pluribus unum. Out of many, we are one. For we know that our diversity, our patchwork heritage, is not a weakness. It is still and always will be one of our greatest strengths.
Kentuckians paid their respects to those who lost their lives on 9/11. ROTC students at the University of Kentucky placed 2,977 flags on campus for each person killed in the terrorist attacks. Sabir Rayford talked to students about their service.
Walker Arthur McNeil.
They're giving a voice to the voiceless.
Sean Peltzer McNulty.
We have 2,977 flags out here.
A flag for each American life lost in 9/11.
We really try to honor all the victims of these terrible attacks as best as we can.
For the students in UK's ROTC program, securing the flags was an overnight mission.
Most of us stayed overnight in the armory, slept here supervising, making sure all the flags were staying up. So we take a really great pride into this day.
But for two people observing today's ceremony, every flag planted in the ground and every name read off that list summoned a question of why.
As they were reading the names, my children were listening, and they announced a couple different women, and they would say the woman's name and then her unborn child. And my son said, "Mommy, why would somebody be so mean to kill somebody who was pregnant?" And
it wasn't an easy question to answer, but Teresa Smith says it was important to her to help them understand.
We talked about this. Some bad guys wanted to hurt people and flew planes into a building, and a lot of people died. And so today we remember all of those people that died.
There was never a large crowd at the ceremony, but it didn't seem to matter because this group of UK students gave a lesson to one family that they say they will never forget.
We learn from history, and so, you know, even though they weren't alive when this tragedy happened, they can learn, and even though they're young, we can in certain ways help them learn about that.
At the University of Kentucky, Sabir Rayford, WKYT.
ROTC students at Eastern Kentucky University also held a memorial service today. Dozens listened to community leaders talk about the importance of remembering and of serving. University President Michael Benson addressed the crowd.
There are those days, whether it's the 4th of July or Veterans Day, a day like today, that give us a moment as a country to pause and reflect and to thank. And I think a service like today is so very important for our community and for our campus.
Corey Wheat, a junior at EKU and a member of the ROTC program, organized today's event. An iconic 9/11 flag that disappeared shortly after the terror attacks has a surprising Kentucky connection. The flag came from a yacht docked near the World Trade Center. Lexington developer Dudley Webb once owned that yacht. It was part of a 7-boat dinner cruise chain, and he says he bought the flag at a marina in Jamestown. The flag eventually showed up in Washington in 2014. It now sits inside the National September 11th Museum. To track the flag's journey yourself, go to WKYT.com and look for this story. Both presidential candidates paid their respects to the victims of the 9/11 attacks today, but Hillary Clinton had to leave the ceremony held at Ground Zero early. Her doctor said she was dehydrated and that she has pneumonia. CBS's Jamie Yuccas is in New York City.
Video posted on social media shows Hillary Clinton's aides tightly holding on to her, just before she falters a couple times and stumbles into her van. Clinton had been attending the ceremony at Ground Zero to mark the 15th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. Before it began, Clinton exchanged hugs with others attending the observance.
Clinton only attended an hour and a half of the ceremony held here in Lower Manhattan. A campaign spokesperson said she became overheated and left to go to her daughter Chelsea's nearby apartment.
Clinton left the apartment building a short time later.
Feeling great. Feeling great.
An aide says Clinton was examined by a doctor at her home in Chappaqua, New York. The doctor says Clinton was experiencing a cough related to allergies. After it didn't go away, Clinton was evaluated again Friday and diagnosed with pneumonia. She was prescribed antibiotics and was advised to rest. The doctor says at the ceremony, Clinton became overheated and dehydrated, but is now rehydrated and is recovering nicely. Donald Trump also attended the observance. He told reporters he didn't know anything about Clinton's health incident. But Trump's supporters have long questioned the 68-year-old's health and stamina. Clinton has maintained she is healthy and has no major health concerns. Jamie Yukas, CBS News, New York.
Trump is scheduled to speak in Baltimore and Asheville, North Carolina tomorrow. Clinton had fundraisers in San Francisco scheduled, but her campaign says they have canceled her trip. Still to come on WKYT. We haven't seen crews at Centerpoint for weeks, but the developer says that's about to change. And time is running out for the state to comply with a federal law involving your driver's license.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Jim Caldwell.
Pleasant night underway out there. We had a cold front roll through the area yesterday. Remember that? It brought some showers and thunderstorms. Tonight, we are getting the end result of all of it passing through the area with these comfortable temperatures. Low 60s, upper 50s. Very nice out there. It's 59 in Danville, 59 in Somerset, 61 London, Middlesboro, Mount Sterling, Harlan, as far east as Prestonsburg as well. I mean, just really showing up out there. But you compare this to yesterday at the same time, and we're quite a bit cooler. We're 5, maybe up to 10 degrees cooler in many locations out there. Obviously, it's less in a few spots, but a big-time change. This is a brand-new air mass that's invading, and it's going to hang around for a couple of days before it goes through some more modifications, and it will see a little more humidity, a little more juice added to it in the coming days as well, as you see here with our muggy meter. Eventually, we're going to be able to retire this for a while because the muggy factor will not be an issue. But we still have a good little shot of moisture that will ride in here going into Wednesday, making it certainly feel a little more humid and getting uncomfortable out there as well. But it's going to be out ahead of a cold front that's going to likely have a few showers, not a lot, but a few showers attached to it. Here's what we've got on Defender Radar Network tonight. It is quiet across Kentucky. Frontal boundary that I mentioned, it's long gone. It's on down to the south, and we are getting in on the high pressure on the backside of it and more of a north to northeast flow coming into Kentucky. And if you notice, all around us, hard to find any clouds in the sky as well. Just another quiet and calm night. Hour-by-hour run takes us through the overnight hours and into the early morning, and you'll see those temperatures drop into the low 50s in many locations. Some will stay a little steady into the mid and upper 50s, and it's even trying to spit out a few 60s in the eastern portions of Kentucky. Nonetheless, tomorrow will be a bit of a cool start for many folks out there. Daytime highs into the low 80s. We go beyond that. Dry, too, by the way. A dry low 80, not the humid type as we were looking with the muggy meter. We get into the afternoon hours on Wednesday or Tuesday, and that's when we'll get into more of the heat coming back. Wednesday would be the day we get into the humidity. Here's what's happening out there with that. By Wednesday, we have a couple of fronts that'll have their sights set on us. First one comes through, tries to give us a few showers as we go into Wednesday, Thursday. And then we get into Friday, Saturday system. That one has more potential and brings us better chances of showers and thunderstorms around here. And you can see what that ends up doing on Saturday. Highs are stuck in the 70s, 70s on Sunday, which is not a bad place to be, very comfortable. But leading up to it, we've got more of the heat, except for Monday and Tuesday. Both look absolutely wonderful out there, Kristen.
And you still got some storm chances on there.
And those storm chances will come raging back, yep.
Well, a lot of people want to know, when will work start again on the Centerpoint project in Lexington? After the break, we talk to the developer about the holdup. Tuesday night's Mega Millions jackpot is $122 million, and Wednesday night's Powerball jackpot is $222 million. The heroin epidemic in our region has skyrocketed the past couple of weeks. It is so bad, one group is demanding action from state leaders. Today, the anti-heroin and opium group in Ohio demanded their state's governor declare a medical state of emergency. The rally comes after a storm of overdoses in Cincinnati. The OD has brought more than 170 emergency room visits in a 6-day span. The group wants Governor John Kasich to maximize resources to support law enforcement. They're also asking for more money for detox centers and sober living houses. Kentucky is not ready yet to comply with a federal law changing the state's licenses. The Real ID law requires a special driver's license to board domestic flights. Kentucky has applied for 3 one-year waivers, allowing them to avoid enforcement of the law. And a Louisville TV station reports state leaders are asking the government for more time to prepare. The current extension is set to expire October 10th. In a letter, the commissioner of Kentucky's Department of Vehicle Regulation is asking for a delay to allow them to build on what they call their recent progress. Unless Kentucky upgrades its driver's licenses by January 2018, current licenses will not be valid. A passport or other form of ID will be needed. Expect to see crews back at Centerpoint in downtown Lexington this week. We spoke to developer Dudley Webb today, and he says the project is still on schedule despite some delays. He says a board needed to approve some new changes to the project and that they sent those changes to contractors for pricing. He expects the garage to be complete next spring. We asked Webb what we can expect to see next.
Well, I think you're going to see probably they'll start on the eastern third of the block, and that'll come up to street level with the garage, and that'll build to the west. And the reason for that is the tower crane swing. One of the tower cranes has to do both the hotels as well as the office building, so we'll start with the office building first because it needs to be ready soonest.
In July, Webb showed us updated designs for the above-ground portion of the project. It included a 10-story office tower, an 18-story Marriott hotel, and a 12-story Marriott Residence Inn. Crews demolished and cleared the downtown block 8 years ago. The state is trying to find a new home for a historic Scott County bridge. Our partners at the Herald Leader report the state transportation cabinet says the Weissenberger Bridge near Midway could be donated to someone pending approval by the Kentucky State Historic Preservation Office. If no one takes it, crews will demolish it as part of a replacement project scheduled to start next year. The state will pay to disassemble and move the bridge. Lee Casey next with sports, and the Wildcats have a lot to work on after that game in Florida.
They do, Kristen. The Wildcats defense had no answer for the Gators, but Mark Stoops spread out that blame evenly. And find out why Titans linebacker Avery Williamson wore personalized cleats despite the NFL's threat to fine him. That's next in sports. There's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. We're in the arena. That's what Mark Stoops had to say following Kentucky's disappointing 45-7 loss at Florida. The Wildcats avoided being shut out thanks to a fourth-quarter touchdown, but the game was dominated by the Gators on all sides of the ball. Prior to UK's late touchdown, the Kentucky defense had given up 79 straight points dating back to that Southern Miss game. But Stoops didn't want to put all the blame on his defense.
You know, it's always team football. You know, we got to possess the football. We got to get first downs. We got to move the chains, and we got to get off the field and on third downs defensively. And yeah, we're not playing very good defense at all. And you know, we've got to get a lot better. We've got to get stronger up front. You know, in the back end, we thought we were going to have some guys that could cover some people, and we're not playing very good there today.
And the Wildcats have an opportunity to get back on track Saturday when they host the Aggies of New Mexico State. 4 p.m. kickoff on the SEC alternate channel. Well, who can forget the disappointing finish last season for the Bengals in the first round of the playoffs? Today, the Bengals with a chance to put that to rest and begin a new season. Bengals going on the road to open the season at the Jets. Second quarter, Andy Dalton going deep to his favorite weapon, A.J. Green. Comes down with a 54-yard touchdown. Bengals up 10-7. Following a Jets touchdown, Bengals down 3. Jeremy Hill goes 12 yards to give the Bengals the lead, 20-16. Under a minute left in the fourth quarter. Now 22-20 Jets. Mike Nugent drills a 47-yard field goal to put Cincinnati on top 23-22. So one last chance for the Jets. Ryan Fitzpatrick's pass intercepted by Josh Shaw to seal it. Bengals win 23-22. Andy Dalton threw for 366 yards and a touchdown to help the Bengals beat the Jets for the first time in 10 meetings in New Jersey.
Anytime you can get a win on the road, I mean, you got to take these games. And so, you know, this one was big. At the end, we needed to make a play. Offense was able to make the play. Special teams made the kick, and then defense got a turnover to win it. So, I mean, it was a great team effort by everybody.
Titans linebacker and former Kentucky Wildcat Avery Williamson had plans to honor the victims of 9/11 by wearing special patriotic cleats during the Titans season opener. His plan was to auction off those cleats after the game, with the proceeds going to Operation Warrior Wishes. Williamson's plans changed when the NFL threatened to fine Avery for a uniform violation if he wore the cleats that didn't match the rest of his team. But guess what? Well, Avery decided he'd wear those cleats anyway today after several New York and New Jersey law enforcement associations reached out to Avery to let him know that they would be willing to pay whatever fine the NFL imposed. After the game, Avery explained his decision to go against the NFL's wishes.
I just felt like it was, I got so much support across the country, and especially when the New York and New Jersey police unions said that they would pay my fine. That really meant a lot. So I felt like if I didn't wear them, it would be just, I don't know, I just wouldn't have felt good about it. So I felt like I had to do that, you know, just for myself and to represent the people that were lost and the people that, you know, do their jobs every day to protect us. So I feel like it was just a duty to myself.
Good for Avery for doing that. Meanwhile, final round of the BMW Championship, the third of 4 playoff events on the PGA Tour. Kentuckian J.B. Holmes sinks the birdie at 13 to move into 4th place at 14 under par. Now, only the top 30 in the FedEx Cup standings advance to the Tour Championship in 2 weeks. And Holmes needed this par putt on 18 to advance or be eliminated. And he sinks the uphill putt. Now, that putt right there guarantees JB at least an additional $300,000 because it gets him into the Tour Championship. UK women's soccer team kept the scoreboard operator busy today, hosting Murray State. Wildcats up 2-0 in the second period. Tanya Samardzic heads in the goal off the free kick from Caitlin Miller. 3-0 Wildcats. Just 3 minutes later, Gina Crossetti takes the shot and scores just over the outstretched arms of the Racers goalkeeper. Now 4-0. Less than 3 minutes later, Marissa Bosco centers the ball. Zoe Swift taps it in. Kentucky runs away with a convincing 5-0 victory. Big win for the UK women's soccer program today.
We will be right back with a final look at weather. Looking great tomorrow.
Decent weather hanging around with us on a Monday. We all need that to kind of get out the door. Well, we don't because we work, you know, but we worked all weekend. But everybody that's been off, they'll need to kind of get out the door Monday into Tuesday. A little more heat tries to build in here, guys, again, but it's an up and down thing we've been running into and we'll run into again later on this week.
Today was beautiful. We went outside for just a little bit this evening, and I was kind of jealous that I wasn't outside all day long.
No, it was fantastic.
Bet you didn't have Sunday as your weekend.
I know, too bad, right?
Darn
Wednesday and Thursday will get here soon enough.
That's a great weekend.
You can join our next crew beginning at 4:30 a.m. Have a good night.